Super easy to cut up a chicken. Today I saved over $10. This chicken here only cost me 12 bucks, but at the supermarket today I had a look, and to buy just the breast bit, just this section here, which is less than half of this chicken, would have cost me more than 12 bucks. So I decided for $5.50, if you can see there on the tag, $5.50 it costs per kilo to buy a whole chook. And sometimes when they're on special, you can pick them up for $4.50 a kilo. So let me show you how easy it is to cut up a chicken, just like a professional. Now the bags that they use for these chickens are actually really strong and they don't leak, which is really good. And you can see there, I'm in a bit of trouble. Maybe I should sharpen this knife up a bit. Bit of trouble cutting that bag. So let's get in there and let's cut this thing in half. All right. So there we have it, one big chook. Now it's actually quite easy to cut. So what we're going to do here is we're going to flip it over first. We're going to take off these wings first. And the best way to do that is to hold the wing up, go from behind the wing, so you're coming in from the tail there. And you cut through and you can actually see the bone in there. Once you get to that bone, the cartilage, you cut through the cartilage and voila, you have a nice beautiful wing. What we do with the other one, the same thing, we lift that up in the air, coming in from the back, cut through. Once you hit a bit of cartilage, you can then see, and look at that, perfect. Cut through the cartilage, that's a beautiful wing there. So what I'll do on that wing, I will cut off the end bit and cut the wing in half. Again, we're going through that cartilage again, two nice little wingettes. Line them up there. Same with this cut here. Cut down, you'll see the bones, and then you can cut through the cartilage. Get rid of the end bit. Look at that, just cuts through the cartilage real easy. And as you saw, that knife wasn't really sharp either. Once you've done that, flip that over. We're going to do the legs. So when you stretch out the legs, you can see all that skin that's come through. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut through that skin there. Again, knife's not too sharp. So cut through that skin. Because that knife's not too sharp, we might even go up. Now careful when you're handling a knife, you don't want to get cut. And what you do is, did you hear that little crunch? That was the bone separating. That's the bone from the Maryland here, separating from the main carcass. And it's actually down here, I can feel it down here. What I do is I pick that up then, and you can see here that there is that little oyster that they call the oyster. I then cut and try to go under the oyster. See what I've done there? And then cut all the way down. See how we've already now we're at that bone that we hit before. We're cutting through that bone, cut all the way back. And there we go. Nice piece there. Look at that, that's the thigh. And if you take that bone out, you can actually end up with a boneless thigh fillet. So I'll show you what I do with that. Now to work out where the other bone is, see that fat line there? A lot of the times it's not as thick as that. This one must be a little bit fattier. You can actually put your finger there and you can feel where the bone joins. So you follow that line and cut it through. So you've got a nice piece of chicken, drumstick, and you've got the Maryland there. What I like to do is I'll take the skin off. So it's easy to take the skin off. Finger underneath, pull that through, and voila, skinless. Into the sink. Now that's a bit of fat there. What I do is I scrape that through a bit, and then I'm able to, look at that, just fat, get rid of that as well. And you can get rid of the other side as well, but sometimes you can see it by scraping the knife there, you're then able to get rid of that bit of fat as well. Voila, nice. Actually, while we're here, I'll show you how we get rid of that bone. So we cut down on top of the bone. It's quite easy if you look at it. So what we're doing is we're cutting around that bone, cutting the meat off that bone. And we go around there. Oh, there you go. And down there we're going to cut there. The cartilage come with it and the bone's pretty clean. Give that to your pups. But what we're going to do today, we're going to throw that in a pot with boiling water and we're going to make a chicken soup. There's that piece there. That's boneless now. Now we get the other side. We do the other side. Exactly the same thing. Grab the knife, cut down through the skin, and again, let's pop it. Ooh, there we go. There's the bone there. The little oyster there. So we cut through the back here, through the back of the oyster, through the middle, front of that bone, between that bone and the main cartilage, between that bone and the main carcass. And then we have that Maryland there. So what we do again, we flip that over, and again, there's that line. You can just cut straight along that line, or you can have a feel. You can feel it in there. That's where the bone is, the cartilage is. So we're just going to cut straight across there. Look at that. Nice. And there's the piece of 5 fillet. What I'm going to do again is get rid of that skin. It's actually quite easy to do. There we go. And also that fatty bit there, we're going to scrape. Use the knife to scrape it. Scrape as much as you can off. And then that's the fatty bit there. And then we've got the back bit here as well. There's quite a bit of fat here as well. We can use the knife to scrape it and then cut that off. You can see a little bit of meat there, but it doesn't matter. I've got rid of that fat. Just careful when you're using a knife. And then grab that 5 fillet and we'll debone it as well. So you're basically just cutting the meat from around the bone. It's actually no quicker or smarter way to do this except like that. Just cut the meat off, and if you can stick it through, cut upwards and then cut across like that. Be sure to leave the cartilage on the bone. You see the bit of cartilage there? Leave that on the bone. You end up with a nice piece like that. Get rid of that end bit. The cartilage there as well. The other one's got it too. We'll cut that off later. So that'll go into the soup as well. There's the other bone. 2 bones for the soup and another piece of chicken boneless. Now we're going to take the breast off. So what I like to do is get rid of this skin, because I don't want the skin. The skin is quite fatty and it's the fattiest bit of the chicken. So we're going to get rid of that skin by pulling on it. Pulling and cutting it off. So there's bits of it there. Let's cut this down that way and across there like that. And a bit more skin underneath there. Just careful that you don't slice yourself with this. And find it all come off one piece. That's all skin. You can actually use this skin as a flavour for rice if you're making rice. It is not very healthy, but if you need the fat, it's actually quite tasty to make rice from that chicken fat. So we got the breast there. So what I do is I cut straight down the middle, just a bit over to one side because there's a bone down there in the middle. There's also the wishbone right in there. That's the best way to get through the wishbone, is to bang the back of the knife. So we're going down here to the front and we start to scrape the knife. So by scraping on top of those bones, you can see the bones there. We're actually separating the meat from the bone. And there's another bone here, and that's where the wishbone connects to. What we're going to do is cut that off. Oh, the wishbone's right here. And we've got a nice chicken piece there. Boneless, a little bit of fat on the end there, which we can just cut off quite quickly. So now we've got chicken breast. And then we do the same to the other side. This time we then cut here on this side. We basically do the same to this side here. Now that wishbone, because we cracked it on the other side, is actually still stuck here, which is okay. Well, you just heard it crack then. That's the wishbone. There's a bit of meat on that. So I'm not going to throw that out. I'm going to put that in with the soup in the big pot. And we're going to do the same here. Grab that meat and just scrape the knife. Takes a bit of practice to do. There we go. We'll cut across the top of there. We've got that chick going. There we go. Nice piece of chick breast. A little bit of fat there on the ends. Scrape the top off that. To the bin. Now we have, there we go. Now this carcass here, we're not going to throw that out. That carcass we're going to clean up. We're going to cut up. So I normally grab it like that. Break that in half. And wherever it cracks in there, that's where I aim for with the knife. There we go. You see that come off really easy. Now I don't want my soup to be really fatty. So I get rid of this fat that's on here. You can see there's quite a bit there. There we go. There's more fat. That little bum there. Get rid of that as well. And that bit of fat that's on the top there. Actually scrape that off as well. So best is to use the knife away from yourself. Grab that, it's quite slippery, use your nail or use a cloth and that gets rid of that bit of fat. That there I will then use, I'll clean all that out. I don't know why, I guess it's because it's too hard to take out. They always leave these things in, probably easier to butcher in the factories, so they leave that in. I'll scrape that out and I'll wash that as well. And now we've got 1, 2, get rid of that rubbish. So we've got one piece that we're going to throw in the pot for our chicken soup, and we've got the other piece here. So what I do here, I try to cut this in half somehow. It just fits better in the pot. You can throw it in one piece like that. I just find it's easier to throw the piece and that piece into the pot. So we've got 3 pieces there. That'll go into the pot with some veggies. And that there is how you cut up a chicken. So you'll have 2 large breasts, 2 drumsticks, 4 pieces in the wingette, and the boneless chicken thighs. What did it cost me? 12 bucks. And you'll end up with this here, that alone at the supermarket is 12 bucks. So you got all this other chicken for free. So I'm going to throw that into a pot, make a stew now, which is chicken soup. I'll put some rice in it as well, just a little bit of rice in the bottom, and we can drink and eat the chicken out of that. Thank you for joining us.